Welcome to this brief video where I'm going to introduce to you the ILS Success Sprint. What is that? Well, basically it's a 90-day program where you can work with me and implement all of the systems and processes that are proven to work to attract interest, leads and sales for your FM or H&S related business. I'm Christian Harris, and if you don't know me, these are some of the results that I've achieved following the ILS method. I've generated huge amounts of connections and followers on social media, over 3 million views on my social media posts in the last year, for example, without spending a penny on ads. I've won awards, I've spoken at events, I've got a market-leading podcast on safety and risk, and I've been quoted by the BBC this time last year when, if you remember, players were falling over all the time on court due to the grass being slippery. Who was quoted on the BBC? None other than me. And I've developed this system of achieving these outcomes over the last several years. I've tried and failed various methods of lead generation, marketing and sales. I've figured out what works for this audience. I'm not saying it would work for every audience, but this approach absolutely works for facilities manager or safety type product services, and fundamentally those types of buyers that you need to attract the attention of. So what is the ILS method? It's all about interest, leads and sales. And you can see here that those three core outcomes are in the center of the model, and around them are three drivers for each of the three core modules. Let's run through this very quickly then, because this is what we will be implementing on the ILS Success Sprint. We'll basically be putting in place this system for your business, copying everything that's working for me, using all of my templates, softwares, systems and all of that stuff, and just tweaking it ever so slightly for your business. So the first thing then is profile, and there's two parts to this. We mean who, so who's your ideal prospect, what are their pains, what are their desires, where can we find them, how can we attract them, and then you, are you showing up as the person that can help them solve their pains, reach their aspirations, etc. Next comes content, and my approach here is something that I call the content sandwich. So it's using different types of content in a strategic way, in a pre-planned way, with a very specific outcome in mind. Next is outreach, because as the quote says on the screen, if you build it, they won't come. Making stuff is great, having the best product is great, having the best service is great, but actually we have to be the ones that are reaching out to people, because they're unlikely to find us otherwise. So that's how we generate interest at a headline level. What about leads? Well, I've got three great proven methods of turning interest into leads: surveys, events, and a diagnostic tool. And all of these are about enabling your prospect to signal their interest. We're marketing for signals, not for sales. We're looking to build rapport, and at the same time we're looking to get to know more about these people to qualify them as leads. So we generate the interest, we then see if we can turn these people into leads, and the third thing we're going to do is sell to them. Three aspects to this: following up, a taster product, and then with or without you energy. Follow-up is all about just making it the logical next step. So if we've done this properly, correctly, elegantly, we've created these leads that are pre-sold and they're interested in working with us, and they've shown their interest and they know they've got a problem that we can help them to solve. So the logical next step is that we follow them up, because again, they're not necessarily going to come to us, and we take them into that sales conversation. Something that I've done really successfully in my business is had a taster product. So this is a product, it's not your core product. So perhaps your core product might cost, or service might cost £10,000. This could be a try before you buy type product or service. In my case, it's a slip test, which is £500. And this is something where it's quite easy to say yes. Again, it's a logical next step. It lets the client, the prospect, experience working with you, and you can continue to develop that relationship into them being a long-term customer. And the last thing here, the key to selling to this audience is having the right energy in that sales conversation. We can put all this groundwork in, generate the interest, generate the leads, get them into the sales conversation, but we've got to have the right approach to that conversation. We can't come across as needy. We can't come across as desperate. We need to show our passion and our desire to help the prospect, but not come across as needy and desperate. And there are ways of achieving that. So that's the ILS method, and that's how I now go about on a daily basis generating interest, leads and sales and growing my own business. But what I'm doing is teaching people how to implement this for themselves and actually helping them, holding their hand through that process to do so. And that is called the 90-day ILS Success Sprint. What does that look like then? What are we going to be doing in those 90 days? Basically, we're going to be seeking to double your LinkedIn connections and followers so you can fish in a larger pond. We're going to put in place the proven systems and processes and strategies to drive inbound inquiries. We're going to attract a steady stream of qualified and pre-sold leads for you to sell to, and overall accelerate your profile, leads and sales. How does it work in terms of the nuts and bolts? So there's going to be a group of 12 sprinters on the Success Sprint. We're going to have weekly group calls, which will be Fridays at 1 o'clock, which will include some training, implementation, and some hot seats for you to ask me questions or to ruminate on any problems you're having with implementing some of this stuff. Basically, we'll be building your very own ILS model step by step with me, holding your hand, copying everything that's working for me. We'll be leveraging my network as well as each other's network to amplify the results. And the idea is to set up this system which is going to drive your growth for the next 1,000 days, but in 90 days. The way that we do that is we use the ILS method, and we go through a process of strategizing, testing, refining, scaling, and then automating or delegating. So you're not necessarily the one that's going to be doing all of this stuff in the long term, but you're going to be the one working with me, setting it all up to make sure that it's working well, and then you can scale it up and then automate and or delegate as appropriate. And yes, you're going to be copying what I've done, working with my help and working with the support of your fellow sprinters, because I firmly believe that environment dictates performance. And so working together, we're going to achieve much better outcomes as a group than we could do individually. What's that going to look like across the 90 days? So think of it in 4 sections. We're firstly going to look at interest. We're then going to go into leads, then we'll do sales, and then the last section is going to be refinement, perfection, scaling up, and all of that fun stuff. What outcomes are we going to achieve? There's a few lines on a chart here to try to illustrate this. If you think of the 90-day period, you're going to see a steady increase of this line, slightly lagging, but steady increase here, and the third line, and finally the fourth. What are those lines? The first one is connections and followers. So we're going to be adding connections rapidly to grow your network. So you've got more people to speak with, more people to engage with, and more people to generate into leads. The engagement will follow the growth of the connection. Then we're going to start generating a steady stream of leads. That should be very, very consistent and just growing and growing over time. And finally, we'll see sales coming through as well. And obviously, certain businesses will have longer sales cycles than others, but the intention is that within the 90-day period, we can show a return on investment which is greater than the cost of investing in the 90-day sprint. So here's a question for you. Think about where you'd like to be in your business 1,000 days from now when it comes to your sales growth. And you've got two options, basically. There's two scenarios that you can go with. There's one scenario, option one, which is that you kind of carry on the way you've always done things, perhaps the most dangerous expression in the English language. Or option two is that you do something differently and you get on that right path towards growth. And what success means to you is going to be a personal thing. It might be that you've got more free time. It might be that you've doubled your sales. It might be that you've bought a fast sports car or a yacht. It might be you've got a holiday home. It could be anything, but whatever success looks like for you, that's the line that hopefully you agree you want to get on as quickly as possible. When's the best time to get on that line? Well, the best time was yesterday. The very next best time is today. And what the ILS Success Sprint is designed to do is to jumpstart getting you onto that line, moving you forward in the right way over these 90 days by putting in place this system that is going to set you up for that continued success over the next 1,000 days. If that sounds interesting and you'd like to learn more, send me a DM on LinkedIn, Christian Harris, Slip Safety. You'll find me there very easily and we can arrange to chat. I'm running currently a weekly webinar about this as well, but that's not going to go on forever because we are closing the doors to the first intake of the Success Sprint shortly. We'll be getting started on July the 22nd. So as I'm recording this, you've got about 10 days if you want to jump on board. And again, as I'm recording this, we've got 4 slots left. Hope that's been useful. Introduction to the ILS Success Sprint, 90-day program to accelerate interest, leads and sales in your facilities management or health and safety related business. Great if you want to join us on that journey. Send me a DM on LinkedIn. Cheers.